Okay, we're going to show you today how to take the cube and add a new template to it. The original templates are on this machine today, and you'll notice this machine is the very first unit that I ever purchased, and so they last well and you can update them with things. This is the template we're going to put on it. This is the template that was on it. These are brand new. They're just now becoming available. I'll give you some more information on that as I get word from Reed Machines. I'm going to take the two little units here and undo this template. Screws come out. This little section here holds the W in here, as well as your length of the tip. So what we're going to do is, this has a screw on the bottom right here that you should be able to see. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and loosen this. And we'll take it off. Has a spring mechanism in it. The spring bounces up. This all lifts off. We take off the little W. This does have also, if you want to use a European curve, you can use it on the back side. We lift off the template, and luckily this is set up so you cannot do anything wrong with it. We take the new template, place it on here. The only thing you could possibly do wrong is have the template the wrong way. So it, tip of the reed is over here. The template tip would be here. So if you want to check that, you can. Put this back on here. And this has a little slot in here that holds this in place. And then this little screw goes down into, well, I dropped it. We'll do this again. Right here is the little screw that moves this back and forth. This fits right into that section. So we're going to place this. I didn't get the metal piece out of there. There it is. So these things are pretty foolproof, which is why I can do them. Okay, we'll put this W on here. Have it ready. Insert this piece so that it goes right into this little section here. It slides right in. This is the little screw that came out from underneath of here. I'll place that right in here. This screw goes in here. And we'll tighten this down. If you ever need to move this, you can release this screw. It serves as a set screw for the length of the tip. We now have the new template in place. We want to secure it with these screws on the ends. And if you're careful when you take it apart, you shouldn't have any trouble at all. Of course, if you do want something done, we service them. So we're glad to take them and service anything that we can. Tighten these down. Just not real tight, just tighten up to secure them. Now, the most important thing I can tell you is this is the height of the machine. When you put a new template in or change the blade, the most important thing I can tell you is to take and make this as high as you can so the knife does not hit the mandrel. If you look at the top of this, there's a minus and an arrow and a plus. The plus, you turn it clockwise, it pushes this down. Therefore, when it hits here, you can see that it never hits the mandrel. It's always off the mandrel. So if I take a piece of paper and slide it in here, you can see that the blade is not hitting. And that's the most important thing I can tell you, because if it hits, immediately it'll gouge the reed out. And the reason I know that is I've done that. This is a new template, so we've already got some reeds that are soaked, clipped. Place that on here, right to the line. And now we're going to hold this up and start profiling. And you'll notice it does not even hit here. You can see it's not taking anything off. That's the safe measure of this. Now what I want to do is now turn this counterclockwise at least one turn and see if it's hitting. It's not hitting. I'll turn it another half. And this is important. I just now got the first piece off of here. So now we go by the numbers on here until we get back to the center. With a new template, we don't have any specific numbers to work with. If you're using an old template and just moving the knife, then you can move it just a little distance. But now we're going to move this quarter turn. And now it's starting to catch. So I'm going to go ahead and profile, knowing that it will not be as deep as I want it to be. And I know it says 1/8 of a turn from the company, but I do 1/8 of a turn or even less, particularly when I'm trying to adjust this. Now I'm getting very, very fine pieces off of it. So I want to go through that and go back gradually in order to get this to the correct position. Now we turn it over, tighten it back down so it doesn't slide, and we'll profile this side. And always make sure you're top dead center of the cane when you start the profile. Hold it up so it doesn't engage and gouge. And then once it starts, you can feel it's starting to be smooth, then you can relax and let the spring take advantage of it. Then we start turning the knob, which rotates both of these units. This acts somewhat like a key mechanism. The template over here is mirrored on this side. And you can see how the cane is moved this way. Now we're going to move it back the other direction. most important thing I can tell you is to be gradual as you go to this and work to control it. You don't want to dull the blade and mess up the mandrel. Now, one other thing with a new template, we don't know how long we want to make the reed. We don't want to know how long we want the tip to work. So I'm still using the same measurements there with the length and the tip that I've had before. And we'll see how that works. Now I'll take this out. Now I usually try to get the tip to be around 12 to 15 thousandths of a millimeter. So I'm going to measure the tip from each side. This is 22. See, let's redo it. That's at 12 now. Let me get a better position on this. This is 12. So this is exactly even, and it's very close to where it would play. Now this is a fairly straight approach. On the reed. Now, I've done the same thing here. I've turned this to fairly medium, right neutral, with this marking. And this is the back, thickness of the back. This reed has a fairly stiff back, so I'm going to, a very even back, so I'm going to go ahead and just bring that tip down just a little bit thinner. When you do this at this point, each of these little marks is all you want to move it, because it will absolutely be mirrored over this side. So we're at 12 now. One mark should move it down to 10. And all it's doing right now is taking the tip, refining the tip. You can see how much is taken off. Flip it over and take off more on this side. Now as you get the tip thinner, you want to start working to see about making sure it's centered and equal on each side of the tip. See about how much has been taken off here by just moving that one notch on the cane. Now I'm going to, you can see this is not centered. You can see it's off one side. So what I'm going to do next is center it. So I'll show you how to do that. And also, this side of the cane, this when I measure it, it is now 10. The other side, at approximately the same position, is much thinner. So what I'm going to do, take the smaller Allen wrench, release the lock nut here on this side, and this screw right here moves the entire unit one way or the other. And as you move it over this way, this curve gets down on this and takes the cane down thicker. Since the cane is thicker on this, thinner on this side, I'm going to turn this to the left. I put my finger here, I can feel which way it is, but if I turn it counterclockwise, it pulls this out. That curve will be on this higher, and then I'm going to take and go ahead and tighten this just a little bit to curve it. Now, this size measures 8, 7.5 to 8. The other side measures 9. So I'm going to put this back in here. And what we want to do is we want to get this thicker side to be thinner like this. So now we'll just profile the reed. And you'll notice also I got it a little too thin. It chipped a little corner off. So now I'm going to take and go back, undo this, and push this back a little bit. It's very, very close, so you don't have to move it much. And that's moving the template this way. And as that curve moves one way or the other, where this hits, as you move the curve there, this hits higher and adds more length or strength or thickness to the tip that you're using. Notice also that if it's thinner here, it will also be thinner back here. Although it's not going to be as noticeably thin because the back is always thicker. Now we're going to take a brand new piece of cane, and what I do is I make up some student reeds and test with the student reeds before I start my working on my own reeds. In that same process, I'll go a little faster this time. Take it slower. I want to move this across slower so I get a very smooth thing. If I go too far, it'll start to catch and start to rip the cane. So it's very important that you continue to use very slow motions of about 1/8 or less of a turn. And you can start to see how much cane is coming off of this. And here at the back. So basically it's just like a knife. Now I'm going to take this off of here and measure the cane now before I do the other side. This is now at 15. This side's at 17. So it's just a tiny bit thicker. So I'll move this about, just barely move it to the left to pull the knife over, or the template over. We'll put this back in, put it back up to the line, tighten it down, and see if we have more equal. Now this process takes a little while, but it's one of the finer adjustments that can be made on the cane. This one is at 7 now. I'll measure the other side, and you can see it's at 7 or 7.5, so that's really close. Now I'm going to put the cane back in and do the other side of the reed. So we're starting to get this adjustment of the reed. Then after you get the template on, the template set right where it's even, then you can start adjusting the back and the tip the way you want it to be. We're trying these two new templates as prototypes of updated reeds. The reed machine company told me that they had developed an additional way of making the template and also measuring the reeds. So now it's much more refined. you can see it reads a lot more even. A little bit heavy, a little bit open, but without anything done with your own knife. Now that's pretty heavy, not really as playable for what I would want to do, but it has really speeded up the rough scraping. I can do the rest of this with my hands with a knife blade, but what I probably would do is increase the length, continue to work on the depth, and maybe take some more out of the back. So we'll just do one little thing here. I'm going to move one more thousandths here and just a little, one notch below the white line for the back. And we've not increased the back. All we're doing is taking the depth out of the back. So we'll just give that a real close up. Very, very minute measurements to increase the read. Flip the reed over. This took just a little bit out of this corner here. So that last measurement that I moved, I need to return, undo the lock nut, turn this counterclockwise to pull the knife, the template over so the knife doesn't cut in. There are tutorials online, and if you can't find them on the reed machines, if you'll just notify me, let me know. But now we have a reed that's pretty good condition. This is one that's got a fairly straight flow with not too many indentations. This is a reed, get the right one that I did on another template that we've got on another machine. You can see the difference. This is more of a max scrape with more out of the back and a heart. This one is just more of a straight stripe that you can actually do what you want to with it. So these are going to be available. We're going to refine them and see what happens. But anyway, this machine now has the latest equipment on it, and it's the first generation. So we'll post this and we'll keep you updated as we get more information. Thank you. Have a good day.